trying to slip across the border in an irregular fashion is not a free ticket to Canada. People have to understand that when they cross in that manner, which is against the rules, then they will be arrested.
The public safety minister taking a law and order line on illegal migration. Yet, over 150 people a day, sometimes up to 300 people a day, are still coming north from the United States, especially into Quebec. Many of them Haitians fleeing poverty after a devastating earthquake. But poverty in and of itself doesn't qualify anyone for refugee status. And since they're coming through the U.S. at an unauthorized border crossing, they're walking right through a loophole in the law that says since the U.S. is a safe country, Canadian immigration can refuse asylum seekers entry. However, that only applies at official border crossings, not illegal entry points. So, as it stands, there's now a growing backlog of thousands of refugee applications and a shortfall of resources to deal with them. What should the government be doing about the situation? Here with their thoughts, freelance columnist Susan Riley and the Globe and Mail's John Ibbotson. Susan, should that loophole be closed and these asylum seekers sent back to the U.S.?
Well, they're being sent back anyway. I mean, about 50%, I think, last year of Haitians, at least, were sent back. Because, you know, in reality, based on the situation in Haiti right now, at least, these are economic refugees. They're not refugees in the, you know, economic migrants, I should say. They're not refugees in the narrow sense or definition. I think this whole situation has been so badly handled by the federal government, mainly because they've been very close with information. They haven't... It was good to see Ralph Goodale speaking out and making the situation clear, and Philippe Couillard, the Premier of Quebec, also made a public warning to the Haitians who are fleeing the United States and coming to Canada that they're not guaranteed a soft landing here, that they may well, if they don't have legitimate grounds, be sent back to the States or even back to Haiti. This message should have been circulated far earlier than this. That's one side of the argument. The other side of the argument is that there are racists in Canada. There's anti-immigrant feeling in Canada. It may not be as pronounced or visible as it is in the United States, but it exists here. And these situations and the way they're covered by the media as well, I think, feed into irrational fears. Finally, putting everybody in a tent city on the Quebec border really visually is kind of reminds you of refugee camps that you see in other places, and raise all sorts of fears, all sorts of fears and worries that are unfounded. And finally, I promise I'll stop talking
How
after
many
this.
points do you have, Susan? I'm just curious.
Okay, here's my final one. The numbers, although they're higher than they have been, you know, in recent years, are not that high. We're
okay. You don't see it as a crisis.
35 million people.
Right. Okay.
No, but I see it as a potential danger.
Okay, John. Same question to you, and I'll remind you what it was. Is what do you think the government? Because it's been a while. We'll remind you. What do you think? What do you see as the government's role here? What do you think about what they've done, and what do you think they should do about this increase in asylum seekers?
Well, the government's most important priority has to be to preserve confidence in Canada's immigration system. You know, and I'm a huge supporter of the fact that we bring in more immigrants than any other country, major developed country in the world on a per capita basis. And we bring in a large number of refugees as well, official refugees. This cross-border, irregular crossing situation puts all of that at risk. It makes Canadians wonder whether, in fact, the system is being gamed, whether people are jumping the queue, whether in fact we're being played for suckers. And Justin Trudeau has to take a measure of blame for this. He's the one who made statements that sounded as though Canada is welcoming everyone, that we're a refuge for everybody, that anybody can come here. That's not the case. These people need, first of all, full due process. They need to be processed through the refugee determination system. But if they are found not to be refugees, and most of them are not, including the Somalis who cross the border in Manitoba in the winter, then they need to be sent back. And they need to be sent back very visibly. The word has to get out across the border and around the world that no, you can't just come to Canada, get yourself an immigration lawyer, and you're set for life. That we don't let people in, and that we do expel them. We've been very, very vocal in talking about how Canada is a welcoming society. We need to be equally vocal in explaining that we are only a welcoming society for people who follow the rules.
Okay, so what do you think the government should do? I mean, is the third-party agreement, do you think that loophole should be closed?
It's not for us to close it. It's the Americans, as I understand it. We have asked them to change the regulations so that the irregular crossings are no longer applicable. But the Americans won't do it. It's not something we can fix.
There's another.
Well, they want people to flee.
Yeah, well, the other thing is you can't stop people from leaving a country. I mean, that's an international rule. But at the same time, we have a growing backlog. I mean, the government would say that they have taken care of some of the backlog, but it may be growing again. I talked to Lauren Waldman, who's an immigration lawyer, who said this may be the problem for some people, is that you say there shouldn't be a soft landing, but in fact, there is a soft landing for months, if not years, coming for some people as they wait their due process.
But it's also true that these things are episodic. I mean, it's not like we're not Germany. You know, there's not a million desperate Syrians fleeing, you know, coming, and North Africans coming across our borders. We're talking about so far people, you know, in the thousands. The other side of the coin, and this is why I'm kind of torn on this whole issue, because like a lot of Canadians, I don't like the idea that people are gaming the system. On the other hand, some of these people, a lot of these people will definitely have the language skills that will help them fit into Canada. Some of them have lived in the States for 10 years. They speak English, they speak some French probably. They may have other skills that would be very helpful to our economy. Certainly the welcome in Quebec from people so far has been very warm.
Well, presumably all of this will be assessed and we'll be talking about it as we go forward. We'll see what the numbers are like, especially as we get into fall and winter. That is the abbreviated summer scrum for this week. I want to thank our panelists, freelance columnist Susan Riley, John Ibbotson of the Globe and Mail. I hope to see you both soon.
Same here,
Thanks, Carol.